Naturals liquid hand soap. इसमें है 100% soap.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the News Unlocked, the show that takes you behind the headlines to the real stories that matter. Today, we'll delve deep into the reasons that have forced Amnesty International India to shut down its operations in the country. Is there a battle that's going on between the Narendra Modi government and human rights organizations, or indeed NGOs? As we look at that battle, let's first take a look at how and why did one of the world's most recognized human rights organizations decide it was time to shut down its India operations. What's the backstory of the battle between Amnesty and the Modi government? Take a look.
Amnesty International has halted its operations in India and let go of its staff after its accounts were frozen earlier this month as part of what it called a witch hunt by the government.
They say that on September 10th, it seems like the government has frozen all their bank accounts and thus they cannot work anymore with no monetary transaction. The staff cannot be paid salaries. Right now, we are in Amnesty International India office here in Bengaluru. The office is closed as well because of COVID-19 reasons. They were working from home, but today they have issued an official statement that the organization has stopped all its work till further notice.
Amnesty categorically linked the government actions as reaction to its reports critical of the government of India. The Ministry of Home Affairs has rubbished the allegations, calling the stand taken and statements made by Amnesty International unfortunate, exaggerated and far from truth, claiming that Amnesty International India violated provisions of the FCRA. The Ministry of Home Affairs has also said that human rights cannot be an excuse for defying the law of the land.
There are multiple illegalities that have been undertaken by Amnesty, and therefore Amnesty has no right to lecture anyone on propriety, especially when it faces investigations of its own improper actions. And like I said before, Amnesty International is no different from any other organization, be it from India or outside India, and will face the rule of law.
Clearly, this decision comes at a point of time where government sources indicate, one, that the NGO is on the wrong side of the law, that they were in violation of the norms. The other being that this is coming at a timing where FCRA bill has been passed, where now the NGOs indicate is a part of a larger scheme where Modi government wants to keep an eye on the foreign funding of the NGOs.
Meanwhile, the action by the government of India against the organization triggered a war of words.
I see it as part of the larger attack on human rights organizations and activists. They have been very systematically shutting the voices, they have been very systematically maligning, because you see the whole modus operandi is that first you leak information which is half-baked, malign them, have a media trial and then go for it. And this is not only with Amnesty, this has happened with many organizations.
Amnesty had always been selective about the rights of people in India, while they were quite vocal about the rights of terrorists who were killed in encounters. They kept mum on the rights of common Indians, civilians who were killed by terrorists, who were killed by Naxalites.
This is not the first time that action has been taken against Amnesty International India. Earlier, in October 2018, the Enforcement Directorate had raided Amnesty International India office in Bengaluru and frozen its bank accounts, after which Amnesty had approached the courts and won reprieve.
So is Amnesty guilty of violating the rule of law, or is the Narendra Modi government going on a witch hunt against human rights organizations? That's the face-off. Tom Vadakan, spokesperson of the BJP, Vrinda Grover, senior advocate at the Supreme Court, are joining me. I want to come to you, Tom Vadakan, because the government claims that Amnesty is on the wrong side of the law, and yet the fact is, despite Enforcement Directorate claiming that there are irregularities, income tax rates, you still haven't filed formal charges. Over the last 3 years, you made various accusations, but no formal charges.
Rajdeep, these are organizations known internationally. They have earlier fought cases in the court, and now they seem to have packed and gone. Now tell me something, if they are that honest and straight, they could have fought it in a legal court. And what is happening? The Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, they have not even registered in it. Then the IPC, these are defines of Indian law. You may be a human rights activist or you may be whatever you are, but the law of the land will prevail.
Mr. Vadakan, August 2016, a case of sedition. Just a minute, Tom Vadakan. August 2016, case of sedition filed against Amnesty India. 3 years later, court orders charges to be dropped. October 2018, Amnesty International 10-hour-long ED raid. Till today, ED has not filed any charges. 2019, you have income tax raids and offices of Amnesty International, residence of directors are raided by the CBI. Again, no charges. I mean, it seems to me the punishment is in the process at the moment, not with the charges. File formal charges. If you have evidence, file it. Why have you not filed formal charges against Amnesty?
I'm coming to that. This process of investigating, let me put it straight. The process of investigation started in 2009. This is not something that has happened of late. They suspended activities. There's a trail of cover-up operations at this organization. Let them set their own house in order. The toxic atmosphere in this organization is well known internationally. There is this lady, Shehgal, who has been sacked, of course, subsequently, who talks about the rights of the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, that they should be treated, their human rights are more important. When it was discovered that she was lobbying with these elements in London, and now these are the same people who are challenging us on 370, on Kashmir, on CA. Who are they lobbying for? They are going.
No. So what is the accusation? Is the accusation? No. 1 minute. Before I go to Brinda Grover, let me get it clear. Is the government's accusation that Amnesty is engaging in financial irregularities, or is the government's accusation that Amnesty is engaging in lobbying? What is the accusation? Mr. Vadakan, what is the accusation?
I mean, it is complete. You are defying the law of the land. You are going against the... We are a sovereign nation. 370 has been passed by Parliament. CAA has been passed by Parliament. You run a disinformation campaign. You're bothered about the speed of internet. Who are you in collusion with? Please come and tell this nation.
Okay, let Brinda Grover answer. It seems that you are first claiming financial irregularities. Now you are claiming that they are in collusion, in a sense, with anti-national elements. Why don't you respond to that, Brinda Grover? Amnesty faces charges, according to the government, of financial irregularity and lobbying with anti-India elements.
Well, actually, I think the truth spilled out in the answer of the spokesperson for the state. And I'm just going to put together coherently what is being said. So there have been a series of raids trying to shut down from 2009 onwards, which actually shows that Amnesty International is not wedded in its advocacy to any political party or government, but is only going to speak about human rights violations, arbitrary exercise of state power, abuse of state power, regardless of the government in power. So that actually speaks to its integrity and independence. Who are they lobbying for? There are Indians who are members of Amnesty International India. They are ordinary Indians, citizens of this country, who are raising these questions. So this whole ghost that is being raised of foreign funds and foreign lobbies, the reason why, and so we are actually seeing is a pattern, whether it is a human rights activist within India who will raise a question on Article 370 or will question why 4G is not available, they will be branded in a certain way. What is available to the state today is an arsenal of law, and these are all weapons within that.
No, you're saying, ma'am, let's get more specific. More specific,
No, I
Brinda
will get
Grover, the
specific.
complaint
I am
against
getting
Amnesty,
specific to SCRA.
ma'am, 1 minute. The complaint against Amnesty is that according to the government, it received foreign funds illegally, did not register under the Foreign
Right.
Contribution Regulation Act,
I
and
follow.
26 crores was remitted to Amnesty from UK-based entities without Home Ministry approval.
Very well. So if these are irregularities and illegalities, it is nobody's case that Amnesty should be given any amnesty for any illegality or irregularity. So that is
Thank
not
you.
on the table. It is not.
Thank
I
you.
don't need anybody's thank you. I don't need anybody's
No, because
approval
you're
for
stating
my
a
views.
fact.
My views.
That's the
my
amnesty
views
you're
are-
asking for.
Tom Vadakan,
Money
please.
laundering.
Tom Vadakan, please allow Brinda Grover to speak without interruption. Please go ahead, Brinda.
Yeah, I know the state doesn't like any citizen speaking, but it would be appreciated if some TV channels are still allowed to speak. Thank you. If there are charges, these are irregularities of FCRA, as was pointed out. Why has ED been summoned in? Because you need to, the cases are not holding, and it is not just Amnesty. The same thing is being done to other NGOs. Courts are giving favorable orders after favorable orders. The reason why the cases don't get filed is because the case doesn't hold. Please put the case. If they have committed an irregularity, please take action. There is no dispute. You have yourself mentioned about advocacy and lobbying, which is bothering you. That why are they raising? You want a seat on the table at the UN as the largest democracy in the world. Therefore, human rights will not have territorial borders. If there will be a violation of rights of religious minorities in Pakistan, I will raise my voice, as should you. If there is going to be a violation of human rights in India, if there's going to be a silencing of human rights activists, if law will be your chosen weapon by which you will put people in, whether in Bhima Koregai conspiracy, Delhi riots, you will target Amnesty International. The reason you want to silence Amnesty, because when Amnesty speaks, the world listens. EU has already given a statement. Let me come to these three examples Mr. Vadakan was giving. You spoke of the lady called Miss Sehgal. Well, I happen to know who you're talking about. Her name is Geeta Sehgal, a former senior policy advisor at Amnesty International, who within raised questions and compelled Amnesty International to speak. Do you know who she is? The daughter of Nayanthara Sehgal, who is repeatedly targeted by this government and called the Award Wapsi gang. So here are people who will raise questions of probity regardless of who is in power. And that is what Amnesty International does.
Let Mr. Vadakan respond. Mr. Vadakan, is the problem somewhere that Amnesty has this global image, and when they raise these inconvenient questions, whether it's about Delhi riots, whether it's about Article 370, the government calls them anti-national. If you have a case, refute them. Why proscribe them? Why ban them? Why hound them? Why intimidate them? That's not a democratic system.
Straight. There's a senior advocate sitting here. She could have taken up the case and fought for the organization. And she didn't. Why are they running away? Who asked them to leave?
They have not
If your
run
accounts
away.
are free,
Please,
you can fight it in the court. That means you're guilty.
I know your government
Vrinda
stands on the
ji,
feet
she
of
is
making
guilty.
you.
Why
They
are you running away?
Vrinda,
They will face the
Why are
charges.
you
They have
running
been
away?
forced
No,
to
Vrinda,
fight.
1 minute. 1 minute. Tom Vadakan, if an organization
Go
bank...
away.
1 minute,
Go
ma'am.
away.
If
1
you have
minute,
television
ma'am.
channels,
1
what do you
minute.
mean by running away? What
Okay.
is the meaning
Why
of running away?
don't you
Why are
fight
you
it?
spreading
They've got the nerve to
misinformation?
do it.
You have forced them to shut down. They will face prosecution. Where will
No,
they
we
run?
didn't.
Can an
No,
organization
they
run
ran
without
away.
money?
They
How
ran
does
away.
Green Care Fund run?
Vrinda,
Green
let me
Care
ask
Fund
this
runs
question to
away
Tom.
from
No,
FCRA.
just a minute, ma'am. You made your point. Tom Vadakan, you are saying Amnesty
No, they have not
International...
run away.
You're saying Amnesty International India is running away. If you freeze the
Where?
bank accounts, if you force someone into a position where they cannot function, they're saying they will return, but at the moment they can't function if the government is going to freeze their bank accounts. They claim that most of the money they've got is from Indians. They collect their funds from Indians. They go on funding drives in India. They've given a list of the 11,000 Indians who funded them last year. My point, Tom Vadakan, is the government decided human rights organizations are equal anti-national? This is the agenda.
No.
The moment you're a human rights organization, the entire ecosystem says that you are anti-national.
No.
Are they not entitled to function in India? What are we scared of?
Came in the year 2018-19. Where did it come? And they have defied the laws of the land. And now you're telling me this money is not to be accounted because they are a human rights organization. Why can't they fight the law? I mean, okay, your accounts have been frozen. You come and explain it. Can't they fight? They are an international body.
Yes,
who stops them from fighting?
Okay,
They run away.
let me stop both of you. Take a deep breath. Brinda Grover and Tom Harakan, take a deep breath, please.
Don't indulge in fake news and misinformation.
I'm just going to come out of this because, for a moment, please take a deep breath. Amnesty isn't the producer. Voices to be shut down. Amnesty isn't the only NGO under the Modi government scanner, nor the only NGO which is claiming to face the wrath of the Modi government for voicing dissent. There are others globally recognized human rights and environmental NGOs over the years, from Greenpeace to Amnesty now, that claim to be facing the heat. Take a look.
The Guardian newspaper had reported that between 2014 and 2017, the Indian government reduced the flow of foreign funds to NGOs working in the country. The inflow reduced from a little over $2 billion to less than $1 billion. There have been reports and indications that the government felt that international NGOs like Greenpeace and Amnesty were serving as tools for foreign policy interests of Western governments. In 2015, the government even placed the Ford Foundation, an international charitable organization, on the watch list. For a period of time, all the foundation's funds coming into India were scrutinized. Foreign aid flowing into India is controlled under the provisions of the FCRA. The Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which was introduced in 2010, requires all NGOs to apply for a license to receive foreign funding. In 2015, Greenpeace's registration was cancelled under FCRA. The allegation was that Greenpeace was working against the country's economic progress.
If you remember, the first attack came on Greenpeace, and a similar kind of witch hunt was done. And even Priya Pillai, who was at that time with Greenpeace, she was stopped at the airport. She was going to attend some conference on environment.
In August 2016, the Bengaluru police filed cases, including one of sedition against Amnesty. The police charged Amnesty International India under Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code for having been instrumental in organizing a program that projected the human suffering of the Kashmir conflict. In November 2019, the CBI raided the Bengaluru and New Delhi offices of Amnesty International India, alleging irregularities in foreign funding and violation of the FCRA. The action was taken on a complaint by the Ministry of Home Affairs, which in its order to the CBI said that in order to evade FCRA, Amnesty UK had remitted funds to Amnesty's Indian entities classified as FDI. This was done without the MHA's approval. Earlier, the Enforcement Directorate had issued a show-cause notice to Amnesty International's India chapter over an alleged violation of foreign exchange rules.
How are they receiving foreign funds without having a permission for it? Like any other organization that wants to work in a country, be it international or be it Indian, you have to follow certain rules and laws.
As recently as August 2020, Amnesty International had accused Delhi police of committing serious rights violations during the Delhi riots. The human rights organization had called on the Ministry of Home Affairs to initiate a prompt, thorough, independent investigation into all allegations against the law enforcement officials. The 20-page report, released on August 28th, documented first-person accounts of Delhi riot victims and expressed shock at the MHA for not holding the Delhi police accountable for its blatant lapses.
Let me go back to both of you for just a minute each. Brinda Grover, is Amnesty willing to fight this out, or has Amnesty decided to quit the country forever?
I think what is completely a confusion that has been created. This is Amnesty International India, which works in India. That's a simple fact. Amnesty International India is not being able to do its work of human rights advocacy and human rights questioning because now all money has been taken away. And since the money is largely in PM cares, neither under FCRA scrutiny, nor under RTI, nor under CAG, that's where foreign funds are. They have said we are unable to work. They're not going to run away. They will face the case. They will go to the court. They've issued a statement saying we're going to the High Court. So what is this myth making of they are running away? It's Amnesty International India, and they are going to be here. They will go to court. If they have committed an irregularity, please prosecute them. Answer their questions on human rights violations.
Okay, you made your point. Tom Vadakan, final word. If it turns out that this was a witch hunt, will you and the Modi government apologize?
Rajdeep, when there is factual information, I gave you the figure. 51.72 crores is what the laundering is all about.
So then prosecute
and this
them.
Whole business of
prosecute them in a court of
India.
law. Please prosecute. You've been saying this for the last 4 years, that Amnesty has violated the laws of the country. You've done nothing. You haven't filed a charge sheet. Will you apologize if it turns out that you were wrong?
We will, now that they are running, and she says she's going to file cases on their behalf or whose behalf, I don't know. She gave a clean chit to the lady Geeta Shegal. But the fact is, she was sacked. Why was she sacked? And by whom? Amnesty. And why? Because of connection with the Taliban. That is an evidence. She just gave a character certificate to that lady and said she is connected.
Let me leave it there. The lady Geeta Shegal is not here to defend herself, which is a bit unfair, therefore, for me.
But this is just about, let us know how many funds in PM cares, sir. Can we have the figures, please?
That's a diversionary question. You want to
gentlemen, I've run out of time. Vinda Grover, Tom Vadakan, let the law take its course, but do not engage in a witch hunt. That does no credit to a democracy. A democracy must be willing to face alternative opinion, including those from human rights organizations. Thanks for watching. It's the News Unlocked. Bye for now.